My hair is going every which way this morning, but I don't care. Very on brand for this video. Hey, I'm Danielle, and today we are talking about not caring what other people think of you. This has been a common theme for me recently. It's just been something that I've talked about with a couple people and I'm kind of thinking through, because for the longest time I had this idea in my head that I don't care what other people think of me, and then some little experiences happened that might have proved that wrong. And so I feel like I had this shell that said, oh, I don't care what other people think of me, but deep down there were some certain things that I was still a little unknowingly self-conscious about that I had to take a closer look at. So I thought long and hard about, when am I caring a little too much about what other people think? Guys, this is very fresh and I'm just sharing openly here what I've been processing recently. So I thought about, who is it? Is it close friends? Is it acquaintances? Is it strangers? For me, strangely enough, I really don't put too much thought into the people close to me, because I feel like overall they're pretty supportive. Even if they don't get it or aren't totally on board, they'll still be like, go you, which is awesome. Surround yourself with good people. And then when it comes to strangers, like, this never even crosses my mind. I really don't care that much about what strangers think about me, because they have no connection to me personally. I don't know, it's just a mental thing. The issue was acquaintances for some reason. Like, the people that I've met that I like loosely know, it's almost like, you meet somebody and you sort of like create this image of yourself, and if you even think about like how they interpret you, it just becomes this weird mental game. And for some reason for me, that was something that came up. And after I thought about the who, I took a minute to kind of contemplate the what. Like, what context, what situations bring this up for me and make me feel a little more self-conscious than I need to be. And it wasn't like how I look, it wasn't my like opinions on things or anything like that. It was purely like what my goals are and where I want to go in the future. So I'm not really sure what that is, but it was just something to think about. And I'm just being super honest with myself about like where I am putting too much mental energy into wondering what people think about me, when, as some say, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. At the end of the day, it says more about the other person than about you. And that's something that I've heard people say before and try to remember. And as I was having some of these conversations, and as I've been like listening to podcasts and stuff, it came up several times that a lot of people are self-conscious like when they go on a run and like cars pass them. I have never thought about that before, and I even went on a run a couple days ago and like actively thought about how I've never considered that, and I really don't care about what the people in the cars passing me think about me running. I don't know. For some reason, that's just something that doesn't cross my mind, and it might for you, and that's totally okay. I obviously have like some weird thing about acquaintances and my future goals. It's all a little bit different for each of us. So I share all this to say, step one is really identifying when this comes up for you. To break it down a little bit, with whom, what people, like I was talking about. In what context? Is it when you're introducing yourself? Is it when you're sharing your goals? Is it when you're posting on social media? And where does this come up? Is it more personally or potentially in your work life? So take a couple minutes to journal, actually put pen to paper and consider when this comes up for you. Because like I said, I really thought I did not give a crap about what other people thought about me. And then I realized there are certain contexts where this still comes up and I am more self-conscious than I should be. Didn't expect that. So really think it through, jot down your thoughts and consider when this comes up for you. And don't judge yourself for it either, because we all have areas where this happens. And the realistic expectation here is that it maybe won't go away completely, but at least you'll make progress and care a lot more about what you think of you than what other people think of you. And I'll share a few more examples before we move on to the next step. So at work, you might notice yourself caring a little bit too much about, how someone interprets your email after you send it to them. Do you kind of analyze every word and wonder what they might think? Do you find yourself being really self-conscious during presentations? Or maybe you find yourself hesitating to share your thoughts on something. And maybe more personally, do you ever, give a gift to somebody and wonder if it was thoughtful enough or what people really thought of it? Or do you overanalyze your outfits and what people might think. Any of these examples could be true. So jot down all that in an honest depiction, and then we move on to step number 2, which is to develop your own philosophy. So what is your personal method or mantra or just way that you deal with other people's opinions and when those sort of fears bubble up? I have a few examples. Brene Brown, the vulnerability expert that we pretty much all know and love at this point, she talks about keeping a 1-inch by 1-inch little slip of paper in her wallet that has the names of people whose opinions of her matter. So it's very small. She can only fit a few names on there, and that sort of limits her from thinking too much about everyone that she knows and what they think of her and what she's doing. But it's a really solid limitation, especially if you're a well-connected person. There's a lot of names and a lot of people you could feel like you're close with and just wonder what they think. But 1-inch by 1-inch is very specific. So maybe you decide to keep a teeny tiny slip of paper in your wallet with just a few names of people whose opinions of you matter, or you can try something like Tim Ferriss. He talks about having these party pants, these like ridiculous yellow balloon pants or something, and he'll wear them around in public, and he gets recognized all the time. And so for him to be wearing these ridiculous pants, it's basically a mental exercise in not feeling shame about something that he shouldn't feel shame about, as he says. So maybe you want to try something like him, where you do something over and over again to train yourself not to care what other people think of you through basically desensitizing yourself to it through practice. Or I don't know, maybe daily life is enough practice for you and you don't need party pants, but something to consider. And there's my friend Grace, who made an amazing post on Instagram the other day about this exact topic. She was in yoga teacher training with me, and she's just doing amazing things around eating disorders and recovery. So giving her a shout out here. She talked about how the only people whose opinions of her matter is her 9-year-old self and her 90-year-old self. So this really narrows it down to you and your younger self and what her aspirations were, and then what you're gonna think of yourself in your grandma days. I love this philosophy and I absolutely adore her. Or we can turn to Aristotle here, who says, to avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. What I think he's getting at here is that if you're doing anything important to you or great in this world, you're going to receive criticism. People are going to judge you, and that's just the reality of it. And honestly, people judge you every day right now, even as you're, walking down the street or running down the street and living your life. Strangers are still gonna judge you. That's something that, don't think too much about that, otherwise you might go a little crazy. But it's just something to consider, that you're already getting judged, so you might as well do the thing that's important to you and live your best life. So what is my philosophy? Well, I have very purposefully surrounded myself with people who are encouraging, and I think even if they don't totally get what I'm trying to do, they will still be supportive, and that is important to me in my close friendships. And beyond that, I have just gotta let it go. Something that I really try to remind myself is that my favorite things, my favorite songs, foods, books, other people hate them. Other people think they're total trash. So the same is true for what you're working on or creating or your goals, is that you might think they're awesome, and plenty of other people are gonna think that they're awesome too. There's billions of people in the world, but that doesn't mean that everybody's gonna love it, and that's just reality, and that's fine. Imagine if your favorite singer or your favorite restaurant said, hey, too many people are doing this, I don't know if people are gonna like it, I'm not gonna go for it. That would just be devastating now, wouldn't it? So take some time to really think through, journal through what your personal philosophy on this is. Steal something from the few examples I gave, or create your own. And that leads us to the very next step, which is to do your thing unapologetically. That is the natural next step, right? Once you've thought about when you care too much about other people's opinions and you've created your own philosophy around this, just do your thing. Be unapologetic about it and go for what's important to you. I know it's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, I really want you to be able to do what's important to you without letting anybody else's opinion of you hold you back. And that's all we've got for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know you've heard this on YouTube 1,000 times before, but if you do click that like button, it helps me understand what types of videos that you like to see. And please subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can see more of my videos in your feed. I've got so many good ones coming up, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye. It's actually hilarious to me how clean this half of the room is, and how there's a giant pile of laundry sitting on the floor next to me. But don't judge me, haha. Was that too soon? Too soon.